Great. So welcome everyone to our monthly mySpeakerBusiness community call. And I see that we have some beautiful speakers with us here for the first time, and some that have been with us pretty regularly for years. Just for the newbies among us, this is our a community call for our mySpeakerBusiness community, which consists of more than 850 aspiring and very established speakers, and these calls every month are really there to give you very practical hints and tips from our guest experts that you can apply right away in your speaking businesses as well. And you can ask your own personal questions on how to make your speaker business flourish further directly. You can also exchange with other professional speakers. That's the space to do that. And also you can get help and support from others on any of your high priority projects that you might want to get support on. And most importantly, for a lot of us here in Europe, at least, it's lunchtime. For the Asians this evening, for the Americans this morning, breakfast time. So just simply have a break with us and have fun with us and get inspired. That's what these calls are for. And as you know, we make these calls very interactive, so please ask your questions anytime. There's different ways of doing that. Just really unmute yourself when you want to throw something in. Or, when our expert is in flow, then you can also post it in the chat and we'll make sure that you get your answer. And also mute yourself when you're not speaking, because we are recording this and we want to have a sparkling recording for you and everyone else. And so today, the topic we chose, because you know that not so long ago, a professional speaker was someone that was giving keynote speeches. Well, that has changed a lot over the last 5 to 10 years. Speaking is, really, even professional speaking comes in so many diverse ways of speaking. And one of the great ones that I personally love a lot is being a master of ceremonies. It's, the master of ceremonies at every event is kind of the glue. It's kind of really making every speaker sparkle and so on. So I thought a lot of you might have either played with the idea to be a master of ceremony, or you might want to find out if being an MC, as we call it, is the right thing for you. So welcome to our call today. And, there is great masters of ceremonies, I know, and I have a very close, dear friend of mine who is an amazing, spectacular, really, truly global masters of ceremony. And I invited her today to be with us and to share her wisdom with us. And you might want to know a little bit about her up front. So, she's been born in Egypt and she grew up on 3 continents and really discovered the wealth of living in different cultures and experiencing a lot of cultural differences. And, travel and encounters with people brought, this amazing woman that speaks 4 languages fluently to build a multifaceted identity in international and blended environments. And she does all kinds of things. She's really a renowned tribe builder and certified executive coach. And she is a pretty renowned international speaker and masters of ceremony, working with pretty big organizations. And there's so much more to know about her, and I'm sure you've read the introduction, so I don't really want to delay giving her the stage, the virtual stage today. So Leocadie Ebakisse, Leo, it's my honor and pleasure to have you with us today. Great, welcome.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you, Monique, to introduce me to your community and to share one of the most important things for me is being the MC. The Beautiful. MC, yes. So
just
ready.
Tell us, how did you get started with your speaking? How did you start to actually, how did you become an MC? Is that something that kind of naturally evolved, or is that something that you wanted to do and you pursued it in some way? How did you get going on that?
At the beginning, I thought I was going to be just a speaker. So I've tried to make a keynote, to write it, and it was very strong for me just to share one subject or to inspire on one subject. And I like theater, and my dream was to sing, to dance, to enshine the audience. And I discovered that being an MC was a real job. Here in Europe, usually when you're an MC, they choose journalists that can ask questions and make an interview, and that's all. And I've discovered the gender of Master of Ceremony is the one who is enlightening the speakers, the messages of the speakers. And you can do it in many different ways. You can do it singing, you can do it, you can do it dancing, you can do it making some sketches, you can do it with humor, and that was more my personality. So naturally, I went to do that. And I choose to be the MC instead of being the keynote speaker in a seminar, for example.
Well, and that's beautiful, because when we are MCs, you know, there's so many times that light just shining on us. But it's not about that. It's really about making the speakers appear in the best possible light, right? Lifting them up even before they take the stage. So where do you feel are the differences? You know, what is really an MC? What is the role of being an MC? Just for everyone here that thinks about being an MC, you know, what's the difference to being a keynote speaker, and why did you choose to really focus on being?
Well, you have many questions, Monique. The first thing, well, I will share with you the two questions I used to have before accepting to MC an event. The first question for me is, how can I enlighten the speakers who are going to be on that event? So the first thing I do is to share time with them. I speak with them. I read the things they have done. Many of them have read books. Some make some videos. I have to understand how the person is with his audience. How are his key messages? So I spend time with him. It's a lot of time of preparation. The second thing is, how can I serve the subject of this event? When you go to a seminar or an institutional seminar, it's not the same thing. An associative seminar, it's not the same thing. So you have to find the right way to introduce that moment and to enlighten the people and to respect the subject. The MC has got a lot of work to do, because he has to know all the speakers that are coming, all the talents that are latent, that are not shared. He has to enlighten that. If a speaker just sends me his bio, well, I'll read the same thing as in the audience. It's not enough for me. I have to discover the speaker in a deep way. So I'll spend time with him. It's the three keys I use when I decide to MC an event. And the difference between the MC and the keynote speaker is that the keynote speaker will have like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 1 hour to do his talk. And the MC is here from the beginning till the end of the event. And he's the one who is going to give the rhythm, who is going to reveal things that the audience has not very understand. He's going to make some humor between two speakers. He's going to give life to the event, like the heart that is beating for your event. That's the three main differences that are between the speaker and the MC for me.
Right, beautiful. So why did you personally choose to go into the MC direction compared to focusing on your keynote speaking specifically?
Like you said in the introduction, I'm also a trainer and a coach. And one of my talents is to discover latent talents. And while you're an MC, you're discovering that people on the stage, when he's a keynote speaker, he's going to deliver his keynote, and he's also going to share some emotional things, delivering his message. And I like to unlike that. I like to share that with the audience. I like to go and ask to the audience what kind of reactions they can have, what kind of feelings they can share, and just to put them in movement. Just to give a rhythm to the seminar. That's why I choose that.
Beautiful. And you already outlined how an MC is different to a speaker.
Yes.
You know, why don't you give a couple of like do's and don'ts of what makes a Master of Ceremony really impactful? What makes Masters of Ceremony really get booked again and again? You know, what makes you stand out?
The first thing for me is to be passionate, to enlighten others, to serve others, and to share the message they're delivering. The second thing for me on the things you have to do while you're an MC is to be in a good because it's like running a marathon to be an MC. Because you can be an MC for 1 day, for 1 hour, or for 3 days. It depends on the event you're emceeing. But the first thing is that you have to be well health, first of all. The second thing is people only see you on the stage introducing people, sharing some ideas, but behind that there is a lot of work on writing things. You can improvise if you want, but you could be a good improvise. You can do a good improvise only if everything is written before. So it's a great job to work and to imagine how things are going to get, or how things are going to evolve during an event. The third thing I can share with you is to be a good MC. You have to have a spirit of synthesis. In personal development seminars, for example, some clients have asked me to make the synthesis after the intervention of 10 speakers. So you have to find the right message and to share that with the audience at the end of the 10 talks. So it's a talent too. So you have to develop that too. And the fourth thing is to be attentive, to listen and to observe what's happening during all the seminar, because you're the one who's going to reveal things, you're going to like things, you're going to give a sense to all the messages you've listened during the talk or during the seminar, most of all.
It's really, really powerful. So I love how you're laying everything out in so practical, focused ways. It's beautiful. I'd like to go a little bit deeper with you. You said that one of the jobs of the Master of Ceremony, even before you take the stage, there's a lot of preparation work going in, right?
Yes.
Would you mind emphasizing on that? One thing is obviously getting to know the speakers up front. Can you give more details about what do you need to do as a preparation before you take the stage as being the MC?
Well, the first preparation is to sleep a lot, because you can go there being tired and without energy. That's the first thing. The second thing is to talk with the client and to be sure, let him share with you the kind of experience he wants his audience to live. He's got to give you some words, some keywords to help you to deliver an experience, and a great experience for his audience. The third thing is that after all the interviews you've done with the speakers, you have to start writing something that is not written on Google. While you're Googling someone, you'll find his bio and that's it. You have to add more things. Some of them would like to promote books, other want to promote another technique they have developed. So you have to know which is the actuality of the speaker you're going to introduce. Because you can't use an old bio while he's working on your subject, for example. You don't have, and that's why you have to do that interview, because you have to know if the message you're going to deliver introducing him is the right one. The fourth thing about this preparation is also making sure that the speakers that are going to talk, the talks that you're going to introduce, are fluent. Is the kind of ideas each talk will come, which is the content of the talks you're going to introduce. Just to make the links, or maybe something disruptive, if this is the idea, but everything should be clear for you. And you see that with the client, and you also see that with the speakers and the other that are going to make the talks. And the fourth thing, the fourth thing also is to make a link with the speakers and to ensure that the speakers are linked and connected with the audience. And if you feel that the audience is a little bit tired, or they are talking each other, but you have to come on the stage and maybe put some rhythm, or maybe to reconnect themselves, or I don't know, sing, dance, do whatever, something that's going to introduce a surprise to the audience, to reconnect them with the speakers or with the talks, or with the time they're reflecting, or with the exercises they are going to have during the talks they are going to listen to. These are the 5 keys I can share with you.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you want me to tell more?
So the 5 Ks. So go through the 5 Ks. What are these 5 Ks again? I know that you guided us through it, but how? What stands for these 5 Ks?
The first one is to be rested enough. So while you're emceeing an event, you don't have to be tired.
Sorry, I
Just
think
because,
sorry,
yes,
I think I
you don't
misunderstood you.
have.
You said the 5 keys. I thought you spoke about the 5 Ks.
Ah, no, the five
Five
keys.
keys. Okay, great. Okay, beautiful. So, um, there's, oh my God, there's so many questions I'd love to ask you to
Okay,
go deeper into
well.
everything you said. This is beautiful. And by the way, I invite everyone that's on the call with us today. If you're like me and you are hungry to learn and you have a lot of questions, please put them into the chat so that Leo gets a chance to answer your questions directly as well. So, Leo, I mean, you just said, first you need to really talk to the client, like, the organizer that runs the event,
Yes.
that is responsible to make it a big success, a memorable, experience for everyone in the room, right? So my first question to you would be, when you are talking to them, what questions do you ask them to really get a sense of what is this event about and how can you as an MC prepare yourself
Yes.
best for that event? What kind of questions are you asking?
The first one is how much is that event important for you, on a scale for 1 to 10? Because in companies, for example, they make a lot of seminars, a lot of events, and it's the first event of the year, and they are already blazed, and they don't care about the way it's going to occur. So you're going to be the person who's just only to introduce the speaker, saying, well, Mr. 1 is going to talk about this subject, Mr. 2 is going to talk about this subject, and that's a very boring position when you are an MC, because you're just giving a name and the people are on the stage. Well, and you cannot give a lot of energy just introducing the name of the people. So you have to ask to your client, which kind of scale do you want to raise, which kind of ambience do you want to have, and how much is that seminar important for you, and what kind of emotions do you want to feel during the seminar. And after, I'll introduce different ways, different practices, just to answer to that kind of question. But the first thing is to know emotionally what kind of universe do you want to create during this event. For example, I'm organizing on the 10th of February an event here in Paris for 200 people. And the first question I ask that client is that you're making a lot of events during the year for your customers. What kind of things do you want them to live? And the answer was, I want them to understand that they are working in a team. So which kind of team do you imagine they can be after that seminar? Okay, so give me some keywords and I'll try to build something around that. And I'll create the experience around that kind of team you're imagining. So they have to be very precise on the way they want the audience, the kind of experience they want the audience to live. That's my first question. The second question is about the audience. It's more the gender, more male, more female, just because if you want to make people dance, for example, if you have only men, it's going to be very difficult for them to dance alone. If you want to make some kind of exercise, you have to have men and women too. If it's only masculine one, but you have to find some kind of exercise. So the gender, how many people are going to have too, it's very important to know how kind of exercises you can do in the middle of two talks, if it's necessary. Well, nothing else.
Right. I mean, these are the most important things, right? I mean, what's the event about? What's the aim? What's the purpose? What do you want? What do you want to achieve, right? Why are you running this event? And then knowing a lot about the audience itself, right?
Yes.
Because, it's not only that the speakers need to tailor their approach, but MC needs to also tailor how you're approaching them, as you said, right?
And the last question should be, is that the first time that you're using an MC for your events? Because if they don't use an MC, they don't know what you're going to do. So you have to introduce the way you're going to work with them during that event.
It's a very powerful question as well. And I guess we can also ask, when they say, yes, we are using MCs, or we did in the past, you could ask them about their experience, right?
Yes.
What did you like about what they did?
Yes.
Was there, is there anything, because every organization functions in a different way, Are there things you really don't want us to do, or you don't want me to do, right? It is also certain things in certain organizations that we are not supposed to say because there's like they're the pink elephants in the room, right? They trigger associations you don't want to have, or are there certain words or expressions, messages you don't want us to share, or you don't want us to do with them, right? Like maybe there was an MC before that made them dance, and they really complained afterwards about it and said, never dance again, otherwise we leave the room. We need to know that beforehand, right?
Yes.
Beautiful.
So you can ask them the kind of MCing they want to have for the event, and they can describe it, always with keywords, but that's okay for you, just to prepare and introduce and to answer to that question, the desire.
Beautiful. So, there's a great question from Olga, but we come back to that soon about how do I actually land MC gigs, right? But I have another question for you in that moment, because we spoke about your conversation with the event organizer. So what can you do in your conversation with the event organizer to make sure they choose you?
I can show some videos if they want, but I can, like I'm a little bit rebel, I'll just tell them, well, we can have a live test right now. I can introduce you something if you want, or you just tell me that subject, and then maybe I can show you something and you'll appreciate in a live way. And I can do some things like that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way. And I know that videos are very powerful. I know that you have videos from previous MC experiences, which is really powerful, because then people get a sense of who you are and how you are actually interacting with the audience as an MC. That creates a lot of trust. That's great. And I think even asking the right question.
Here, and here in Europe, if people don't know you, you can also ask to a client to make an interview, something like this. He can share his experience with another client.
Yes.
This could be a key too.
That's really powerful. Making a connection and say, hey, if you'd like to talk to someone that, I've worked with in the past, I'd be happy to, or share some testimonials from previous event organizers you've spoken to, right? And I feel also there is a great sense in how you're asking questions. They will get an understanding of, do you know what you're talking about? Do you do you really care? It's not only about, are you an expert? And you know what you're talking about. It's also like, how much do you really inside from your heart care about making that event a big success?
Yes.
Right?
That's very important for me.
Yeah.
Much more than the number of people who'll be there or the nature of the event.
Right.
Because it's going to give you the right position, the right posture to have while you are emceeing that event.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, great hints. I would like to go to the next question that got triggered on my side. And Olga, we're going to come back to your question. We're going to talk a lot about how do you actually secure some gigs as an MC. It's a very important one, I know, for a lot of us, a lot of you and myself. But another question would be, as you said, one of our jobs as an MC is to really prepare well and get to know the speakers. Kind of, tickle out, the details that no one finds online, right? So, like, for example, I've been running podcasts for quite a few years, and I had to interview people, and sometimes they said, Monique, where did you get that information from, right? So, but the best way of getting information from the speakers and getting to know them, to make them sparkle on stage, and connect them from the first moment on with the audience, is also to, best ways ask them questions, right? So again, similar question, just directed to another audience. What questions do you ask speakers to really get them to open up and share with you some of their sweet, juicy, nitty-gritty details so you can get the news in the introduction?
How many times have you made this talk? Are you passionate about the subject you are going to share with that audience? What kind of emotions do you want to share with us? And is there something new in your life that you would like to share with us or with the audience? Have you discovered something new about you, about your subject, another way to introduce it, to talk about that? Something that's not written anywhere, just to deliver something new to the audience. And the last question should be, can you, in one word or two words, explain me your talk? Most of the time they are sharing me like this, staring at me like this, but I have the answers. That's why I was telling you that just sending me a bio, I can read that on Google or whatever, on your website, and that doesn't help me to know you better. So I have to find something that's different. And maybe you can't find it while we are having that interview, but while I see you on the stage, I can put that, I can enlighten that and make a link between your talk and the talk that's going to come, or maybe to share that with the audience. So that's very important for me to ask those kind of questions, these kind of questions.
Right. Okay. I got a little bit of a question here saying, wow, it's really interesting, but a bit fast for me. Can you just, again, like summarize the key questions again so that people can pick it up? And then again, by the way, guys, everyone, this is recorded, so you can just do it and watch it again. But okay, just quick summary, some of the key questions again. And I know it's hard because you speak out of your heart, right?
Yes.
So I'll help you a little bit. So the first question was, how many, the questions that you ask speakers to prepare yourself. So one was, how many times have you given that speech before, right?
Yes.
The second one that I picked up, but maybe there was something in between, is also, what kind of emotions do you want to share? But what were the other questions? One was like, in one or two words, explain what is the key message.
The essence, the key messages of your talk and the essence of your talk.
Right.
It's like the main idea, the two main ideas, just like to help me to remind that to the audience at the end of the talk, or maybe to summarize that, to synthesize that idea. That's very important. Yes, that's the third question.
And I know also, some MCs, and I've done that like that also in the past when I was an MC. Some people also ask, like, depending on the theme, the overarching theme of the event, they often pick like one concrete question to ask every speaker.
Yes.
Like, for example, if you have an event with speakers that speak about whatever, failures on stage or something, you can ask them, hey, what was your most humorous event where you had a big failure on stage or something? And then you have something across the different speakers to introduce them on. It is like a red line between, right? So what kind of questions could you ask as an example to all these kind of speakers to add this additional red line sparkle?
The point is that the kind of MCing I'm doing, I can do it in companies, I can do that in an institutional environment, and I can do MCing like in associations too. But to create this kind of question, I have to have the principal subject of the event. So we are going to take, for example, a seminar in a company. So if there the main subject is to create, they're working on transformation, for example, I'll ask to each speaker which kind of transformation he has been living, which kind of lessons he has learned about that. If you want to share that with the audience, and which was the main detail he want to share with them, not something very intellectual, something more personal. So the question will be more personal than intellectual or about content.
Right. Okay. Beautiful. Here's a question from here, Linda. Leocadie, how important is knowledge about the subject of the event? Okay, the subject matter, and how do you integrate this into your performance as an MC?
Yes. Well, if it's like an institutional, for example, you're emceeing an institutional event, you'll do the same preparation I've said before. You read the bio of all the speakers, and maybe you'll spend time with them face to face or by video. But for knowing the subject, the most important things to do is talk with the client and to share the last events on his environment. Also to see if it's a political event or if it's an associative event, how are the tendencies that are in the market around that subject. And the third thing should be trying to speak with people who's not okay with the subject you're going to talk about, just to have different positions and different kind of views, and have questions that are more powerful than the one you'll just have, are you okay with this or are you okay with that? And the answer will be yes or not, to give more rhythm to the interview you are doing, or to the question you're asking between two talks, or the question you're going to ask to the speakers at the end of the talk.
So, I guess the art in this, Herlinda and everyone, is really that when we're an MC, we don't necessarily need to be a subject matter expert, but we need to know enough to appear as if we are one.
Yes.
Right? And one way of doing that is, what I would do also is I would ask the event organizer, and I'd ask all the speakers, what are some facts that I should know, that I should weave in, being a master of ceremony, to lift all of us up as subject matter experts in something.
Yes. Mm.
Right? So we don't necessarily need to be having all that technical knowledge of all the topics, but
no,
and we're not even expected to, and it's not our job, and it's not even necessary.
Yes.
But there are certain facts and figures and data and information and anything energetic or heart based or whatever else the topic is that we should know.
Yes.
Right. But asking up front is, I think, is important.
Mm.
So I have another really great question for you. I feel it's my question. So which is, you said that one of our tasks as MCs is also to kind of build the bridges between the different speakers, and also sense the energy in the room. Feel like, are people getting tired, or what is needed right now to keep their attention, to keep their heart open, to really make them ready to wholeheartedly and with an open mind and heart take in the next speaker. So what are some of the things that you do? Can you give us some hints and tips of what you do? And I know every Master of Ceremonies has their own surprise suitcase, so to speak, right? But what are some things that you do to really raise the energy in the room, wake people up? What are surprises that you bring in? You spoke about surprises. We all love surprises. So what do you do?
The surprise I can do is what I'm feeling at the moment. In one event, for example, we did an event last year for the 10 years of the Professional Speaker Association. I was feeling that the people the audience was a little bit tense, because it was very institutional. The things were very like if you're in a seminar, in a company seminar. So I've take off my shoes and I've sold the shoes. It was so amazing, and I was like that. I can do things like this, but I can also use humor. I can also ask someone in the audience to come here and share a story with me. But the most important thing for me is that while I've introduced the speaker, is that I stand in a little corner and I observe the interaction between the audience and the speaker. If people is like this, very surprised, or with him like a little bit hypnotized by the messages he's sharing, or if people is talking, they're not attending anything. And it's more the interaction between the speaker and the audience, and after I can comment that, and I can pick up some messages that have been shared, just to interact with the audience too. The surprises can be also to use music, because music is a great way to feel people connected, and maybe we can use music to put them in a high energy, or maybe you can use some meditations. You can use a lot of tools, but you have to be sure that these kind of tools are really the ones that are going to energize the audience.
Right, great, beautiful. And again, obviously you're really very much a pro, and you're really relaxed, and like I just feel what is needed, right?
Yes.
I mean, it comes with experience, right?
Yes.
But I think that some of you might never have been an MC before, only very few times. So just a hint for everyone here on the call and everyone that's watching this afterwards. what I always suggest is, you can just create your own like upfront list of things that you
Yes.
think you could do. Okay. Also, so how to get inspired on that is that you could watch some emceeing videos and see what people do. Or remember, when you were at events, what did MCs do? What did you like? What didn't you like? Right? And
Yes.
then you kind of prepare yourself a little bit like a checklist up front and say, these are things I could be doing if the energy is like this. Okay?
Yes.
This is like when I feel like there's a mismatch between a speaker and the audience. How can I still, even when he or she comes off stage, build that connection afterwards, build that respect and connection afterwards, or things like that, right? So you can create that even up front, and even as you're saying that you're the glue between the different speakers and you kind of re-energize the audience and get
Yes.
them
Right.
interested and hungry to hear more. Even though you will be always in the moment and you will pick up what someone said or something related to that event itself, but you can still, even up front, create a list of certain expressions or quotes or tiny stories or things like that, that you can, so that you have something like a box, a toolbox,
Yes.
that when you're going out there as an MC, you have something prepared in that moment. I think this is
Yes.
really important, especially when you don't have a lot of experience yet.
Yes.
You cannot automatically always trust that you will pick up the right thing in the right moment. So what you do is you have something like a list of things you could do. And then while the speaker's on stage, you can look through your list and say, so which feels right and appropriate as next
Yes.
step, right?
And also for that, you can, while you're creating the event, it depends. Some clients ask you to create and to co-create, to co-write the event with him. So you can choose the order of the talks, and while you're making that, you can choose the different tools you can add, and you'll see how the audience is going to react, and then you can put that. If you can't write the event and you're just here to introduce and to create a link between the talks, you have to improvise, but you don't improvise without knowing no tools. You have to improvise, feeling how the audience is, how the talk, how powerful was the talk with the audience, how the message went through, and most of all, is that related with the kind of experience your client wants to the audience to live. So it's very important. You spend your time analyzing, observing what's happening minute by minute during the seminar. So you have to be very connected with the speaker and the audience.
Beautiful. Okay, I have so many questions. I feel really called now to put out some of these questions so we can answer them, Leo.
Yes.
Wanda has shared a great experience and linked with a question. She said, once she was emceeing an event that was also live streamed, and a speaker fainted, so fell over. So it was her job to step in, make sure he was attended to, and make sure that the camera stopped filming him, because they didn't want to, broadcast that spectacle as such. So she's saying, what do you do in unexpected situations like that? Fainting, fire alarm, other emergency of some sort. I'm sure we all had these situations, right? So what do you say about that?
In an unexpected situation, it depends. If I'm very tired, I stop to move. If I'm not tired, I start to, it depends. The first thing I do is start to dance. Start to talk with the audience, start sharing things with them, asking things, making them react, come here with me, share something with me, just to introduce a movement.
Right. So pretty much what you do is you kind of pull away the attention to what's going wrong.
Yes.
To keep people in a good spirit, so to speak,
yes.
Right? Of course, in that case, as Wanda was saying, she needed to make sure that, the speaker was in good hands to take care of him health-wise, right? So of course, but it's really, you're perfectly right. I mean, this is what our task is as an MC. As we always say, the show must go on. Of course, we need to make sure safety is tended to. We always need to see, what is really happening in the room. Is there a fire alarm? Well, maybe it is real. Maybe we should just not have the show go on. Maybe we should just evacuate the building, right?
Yes.
So,
and you can.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you can also use humor. Maybe the lights will go away, or anything. You can explain the things just because it's life.
Yeah,
life is unpredictable, and here it's the same thing. So what kind of lesson can we learn about that? And that's okay.
Exactly. Or, you know, we just wanted to give you like a really relaxed break. So, you know, let's enjoy the lights off for a moment. Okay, stay quiet. Lights will come back on in a minute. So just I invite you to all now sit back in your seat and breathe, right?
Yes.
Instead of getting them run into a panic, right? I mean, that's also our task as an MC.
Yes.
We really need to master these situations in that moment, and also have a balance between what is really going on and when is the time to run out of the building and when is the right time to just keep everyone in the seat, because we know that this is something that
sometimes happens.
Fast. Great. Okay, thanks, Wanda, for the question. Okay, another question. Okay, do you ask for feedback after the event you have led? What do you reckon about building bonds with the event organizers to be asked to work for them again? Can we do it? How? Well, clear answer is yes. And how would you do it, Leo?
Yes, and the three questions. Yes, the first thing, yes, the feedback of the organizer, because you have to be sure that you have answer to the main subject and the kind of emceeing he asked before during the brief. You can also, if he's okay, because it depends on the practices, you can also record and ask some people in the audience to share the feelings they had, and you can use that also, a testimonial of some people in the audience. And the third thing is that to make sure that you're going to be booked again, is to ask him if the kind of emceeing you have offered was the one who he wants to work with during, I don't know, the 2 or the 3 next months, or maybe he wants to discover another side of your emceeing.
Right, beautiful. And I love, I love what you're saying, and I just really want to emphasize it again. It's not only can you ask for feedback, but there's no question you have to ask for feedback.
Ask for feedback.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's really your job is not done as an MC if you haven't collected the feedback. For so many reasons. One reason is, of course, you want to know, are they happy? Right?
Yes.
You want to also turn that feedback into a testimonial, right? You want them to say something amazing about you so that you can say, hey, can I use that publicly? Okay. And I've been in that position, and they said, yeah, of course you can. So you can add often then company names or institutional names to your name, which again lifts up your reputation and visibility. Yes. And another reason also, just really coming straight from my heart, is I want to learn.
Yes.
Right? I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to evolve. I want every single time, I want to be able to give the best ever performance as an MC than I did ever before. And I can only do that when I ask for feedback.
Yes. Right? Just remember the first question you asked me, if I'm an MC, if it's because I'm serving something, a cause, a subject, or an idea, and the feedback will help me to grow and to be a better MC. And if I work with some peers, other speakers, for example, they can give me some clues, some ideas just to improve the kind of MC I am.
Right. And I would like to start really turning into the question, how do I get booked as an MC? But now I would also like to add something around the feedback. I'd like to give all of you 2 questions you want to ask when you follow up after the event with the event organizers. The first question you want to ask is, when is your next event taking place where you would like me to be an MC again? When is your next event taking place where you want me to be an MC again? Second question, who do you know that's running an amazing company or is in a similar position as you or anyone else that runs events that would really add this additional sparkle, having the right MC on board? Could you make an introduction? So as part of asking for feedback, you always want to ask these 2 questions. And now, Leo, let's open the space for asking the question, what other ways, besides being rebooked as an MC, but what other things can you do to make sure you get booked as an MC in the first place? Especially when you're not so known yet.
Well, I'm not... when I started emceeing, it was only I started emceeing with recommendations. People saw me there, and after they called me and I think that you can MC that event. I think that this could be something for you, or this could be something for you. At the beginning, you don't know which is the style of MC you are. You are discovering it. So I've learned doing. At the beginning, it was like that. I went to some private events, to some conventions, some seminars, something. I've met a lot of people, and at the beginning, I didn't know how to define the style of emceeing I was going to offer. So you have to test first, and after you can define more and more the kind of MC you are. It's not like a coach when you're specialized on this, or like a consultant when this is only your specialization. You are growing and you are learning by doing your emceeing. That's why after you can do some improvisation in some cases, and in other no. In some cases, it'll be more synthesis or maybe sort of interview. It depends on the environment and also on the resources you have. So to be booked, the first thing I can share is to be recommended, and also to work with a team that can guarantee you a support while you're going in places you've never been before. So you can make a team with some speakers. That's what I do. We work in a team. And some of them are going in places I don't even know the way they work and the way they're organized. But while we are preparing the event together, while we are preparing the way they're going to make their talks, the main messages, the key messages, but I can do the same thing I've explained before, is to be to create the environment necessary to deliver the message, and I'm learning day by day.
Great. The question is at the very beginning, and everyone here is thinking, "Oh my God, I wish it was like that for me," right? So, like, oh, I wish people would come to me and knock on my door and say, "Hey, don't you want to be an MC at our event?"
Yes.
So there's now two questions coming up on my side based on that.
Yes.
One is how, because I feel that it might happen that you're out there as a speaker or you're participating in an event and people say, "Hey, we're looking for an MC. Wouldn't you like to do that?"
Yes, but even if they don't tell I'm looking for an MC, I say I can MC. I'm an MC. I'm not a speaker. I'm not a keynote speaker, but I can be an MC if you want. Maybe we can try for your next event, and just tell me what kind of thing you're expecting or attending, what kind of subject you're working on. And what you think this kind of event should work with an MC. But because, as I told you before, being an MC here in France or in Europe, it's not considered. You don't have the same enlightenment as a speaker. So they're going to create their seminar, looking for all the speakers, and after, well, the MC will be the little things you're going to speak about, or, well, if you want, you can come to MC, but you have, in that way, in that kind of environment, you have to be a great MC just to show how much is important for you and what kind of influence and what kind of positive influence you can have on an event when there is an MC. So they can feel the difference with an MC or without an MC in an event. And the first thing you do is just, well, asking feedbacks. How is the show with an MC and without an MC, just to have some arguments too to share.
I love that, because pretty much what you're saying is the first thing is it all starts inside of you.
Yes.
It starts to make a commitment to say, I want to be out there as an MC. And then to go out there and tell people that, hey, I am an MC, even though it might be the first, you might never have done it before, right? But you give yourself the title. You say, hey, I am an MC, and I'm looking for event opportunities. What events do you know where they might need an MC?
Yes.
Right? Or you go to events where they don't have an MC at that moment. And you can go in and say, hey, you're running these events regularly. Would you like me to come in and MC it for you once?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also do something. There are great MCs all over the world. If I have the chance to see them traveling in France or maybe in their country, I go and spend a lot of time with them, asking 100 questions about the way they MC, their experiences, the way they prepare, they introduce, just to enter in their world, to know how or which kind of ideas I can transfer in my world. Because we are not the same MC. We don't have the same energy, we don't have the same way of introducing people, but you're learning a lot about the other MC's experiences.
I so love that, because that's also a strategy I'm always taking, right? And it's, you know, just go where there is MCs, where there is speakers, because
Yeah.
wherever there are speakers, they will tell you what events they're speaking at. So, you know, you're here in this community, my speaker business community. Guess what? You're in this perfect place, because there is more than 850, you know, amazing people that either want to start their speaking career, or are already there, or are already far advanced and have been on stage thousands of times and cash in great money. You know, but you know, hang out with them, connect with them, say, hey, I am an MC and I'm looking for MC opportunities. Even post it here in this community and say, hey, what hints do you have for me to get booked as an MC? Tap into it. I mean, you know, 850 amazing people with amazing networks, that connects you to millions of people. I mean, as per the law of networking, right?
Yes.
Just you know, get the word out that you want to do this kind of work, and ask them, hey, do you know events where I could be an MC or a speaker? If you say MCing is not really for you, but I assume after this call you will reconsider, right? And you know, just really let the world know, right? Well, we got Leo frozen on my side a little bit. So what other questions are coming up while we are waiting for? Ah, there she is. Leo, you were frozen for a little moment.
Here I am. Yeah. Just tell me.
Okay, I think that one of the other questions is, you know, talking about payment. I know that is a question for a lot of people also, you know, and I know that you're pretty highly paid MC, because you're working with pretty big organizations as well. And of course, there's a budget. So how did you set your budget at the beginning, or how did you set your price or your fee at the beginning? Or were you just offered a fee and you were happy with it? And how do you secure higher fees pretty early on? Because I feel that the biggest mistake a lot of speakers and MCs make at the beginning is they're undervaluing themselves.
Yes.
And they're asking for too little amounts, if any at all. So can you say something about that?
Yes, because while you're starting like an MC or like a speaker, you can't define your style. So the only thing you want to do is to MC and to give your talk. You're obsessed by that, and to find an audience, and that's the first exercise. For the prices, it was very simple for me. The first thing I started to do was asking to the speakers what was the price they were using, because it's a different kind of talk. While you're an MC, you're making a talk in a different way. So the only thing that people see is you introducing on the stage, but behind that there's a lot of work of preparation, and that preparation has a price. And while you're not able to estimate the time you're going to work on the interview, on writing the subjects, on making the links, or looking for the tools for your improvisations, and you have to be very careful to measure the time you are going to spend on the preparation of an event. There are different kinds of events. On November, I've been invited by a company to give some prices, and I have to MC the event during 1 hour. And the first question was, which is the price for MCing for 1 hour? The first thing I do is to prepare. I spend time preparing 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 phone calls, 3 Zooms, and that time I have to measure that. So you have to be very careful to measure the time you're investing. That's the first thing. The second thing is ask the people how long they are, how much are paid. The other speakers are paid, just to know if the client is going to pay that price or not. Because remember that at the beginning, MC is not considered as work. It's considered just like someone who's introducing an event. So around the prices, I've started, at the beginning I was paid like 250 euros for a midday intervention. While I was feeling more secure and more confident, I started to ask 400, no, it's not 400, 4,000 euros, 400 euros, 4,000, something like this. And the most important thing is you have to value your work and to feel comfortable with the price you're going to ask and to deliver.
Yeah, that's really powerful advice. So it's really, you'd also give again as an inspiration, don't undersell yourself, right? Appreciate
Yes.
your value. Go out and ask for money and ask for the amount that makes you feel you are appreciated. Right?
Yes, that's the most important thing.
Right. Okay.
Some clients will offer you a price and you'll say, oh, but that's too much for me. But anyway, if he thinks he can give you that, that's okay. So you'll answer for that price. So you can have really great surprises too.
Yes. You know, that happened to me a few times where I asked them, so they asked me, so what do you charge? And I said, what's your budget? And they gave me an amount that was above my fee. And I said, oh, this is perfect. That's exactly what I normally charge, right?
Yes.
Again, of course, you want to be honest. If they say, hey, we normally, pay whatever, 100,000 euros for 2-hour, event MC job, and you feel like you've never done MCing before, you might be honest and say, hey, am I really the right one? It's equally important to know what your value is on the positive side, as also agreeing and managing expectations to say, not sure if this is the right job for me, because because we can do a lot of damage and harm to our reputation if we pretend something we are not, and we don't want that.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. But I guess that's a luxury position to be in, to say, what, so much?
I'm very happy.
Often, I think that more often than not, especially when you're at the beginning and you're not really very established yet and not very visible yet, more often than being offered a too high fee, it's that people either want you for free, or they want to give you a peanut, right? Where you feel like this is not really representing my value.
Yes.
And while you're MCing,
while you're MCing an event and you feel that you should be paid for that event, you won't be really connected with the people, with the audience. You'll do something poor emotionally, because it'd be something you live like something, well, you have to do that, so you have to do it, and that's all. As I told you before, the MC is someone very passionate, so you're sharing things. So the price should be something that's already clear, not to be influenced with that during your MCing. It's like when you're, well, the same thing when you're doing coaching or consultancy. You have to be with your client, entirely present to your client, and not thinking about, I think that I've done this exercise and this has got value, so you're not connected with the people. You're connected with the problem you have for the price. So,
Oh, I just realized I'm speaking and I'm muted, so that's also funny. So I still got a great answer. Thank you, Leo. So here's a few more questions from Monica that I'd like to, because we're rounding it off very soon. Which is, how did you pass from being a keynote speaker to an MC? I think that was answered already at the beginning of the call.
Yes.
But here's another question. Okay, I think we partially answered that. As an MC, do you contribute with content? Care to elaborate? If yes, I think we answered that partially already. And then, are you having a say in the agenda of the event? As the order of topics and so on. So how do you influence the agenda as an MC? Maybe that's a good question as well.
I can influence the agenda if I already know the speakers, or if for an event I've chosen a kind of MC. For the event in February, for example, the client asked me some special requests, and I knew the kind of speaker that could be able to do that. So I've introduced something and proposed him and told him, well, this speaker works on that subject, this other one on this subject. Maybe if we can combine that, it'll be okay for you. So he was okay with the proposal, and that's great. But some clients prefer to choose the order they want to introduce the speaker, so you don't have any influence on that. So you have to find the way to reconnect the messages of the speakers, or maybe to create something disruptive between speaker 1 and speaker 2. Depends on the way you're going to MC the event. Or maybe ask questions or have some little testimonies between speaker 1 and speaker 2, just to create a link. So it depends on the events.
Right. I think, yeah, it's a great answer. And I feel like it depends on the event, and it also depends on you and your own experience and self-confidence as you build it over time. When you are an MC, and also, you will feel, when you see an event agenda, you will feel if that will flow smoothly or if there would be adjustments made. And if you feel comfortable to make these suggestions, you can always make these suggestions and say, hey, I feel this is your agenda. I think it's a great agenda. Would you like some advice on how to make it even more powerful as an event, to make it flow even more smoothly, or more, really create the impact you want to make? And then it also depends on the openness of the event organizer. Right? Some of them have a very strict understanding of how they want their event run. Others might be very open for you to contribute. Others might even ask you and involve you.
Yes.
I feel that our role as MCs is very fluid. Sometimes they even invite us and say, hey, would you be happy to craft the agenda with us? Yes. Sometimes we are even asked to make some recommendations of what other speakers should we bring in. So you can even, connect with your speaker friends and bring some speakers to the stage.
Yes.
It's also very good, right? So, it really depends on quite what the situation really is. Yeah. And your own experience and your openness.
Yes.
Beautiful. Great. Okay. So any last inspiring words from your side, Leo, to everyone being here with us today as we start rounding it off?
Yes, just to tell to the speakers out there that if they want to experiment the position of being an MC, but just try to find a place to do that. Because you have to compare how you feel making your talk and how you feel when you're emceeing something with the style you're going to create. That's a great experience. And you'll find where is your DNA.
You will, yeah. And, some of you might start out as speakers and then you realize, oh my God, emceeing is more for me, like what you experienced, Leo, right?
Yes, that's what you experience, yes.
Yeah, where you started out being a keynote speaker and then you did have the MC experience and you said, this is what I really love to do. I love to make speakers sparkle on stage, and I've seen you do it and you're amazing at it.
Yes.
So it's just really, as you said, just, let's get the opportunity, get yourself into opportunities, try it out and see how you enjoy it, how you resonate it.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with making a decision on either side. You might try to be an MC and then you realize, no, it's I really rather am a speaker. Yeah. Or the other way around. You say, no, you know what? Speaking is great, but making speakers sparkle on stage and being, the juicy bits that really make the event amazing and memorable.
Yes.
That's a very honorable position to be in. So I thank you so much for being here with us today, Leo. And
thank you, Monique, for this invitation. I was very happy to share that moment with you.
And I know that you and I will see each other next week in Tenerife. However, I know that so I am able to always ask you a lot of questions, being the beautiful friend that you are. But there might be other questions. So to all of you, that has been here with us, I honor you, and I love you for the fact that you've spent this precious hour with the two of us. And thank you for all your amazing questions, for sharing your experiences, for being here, for holding the space with us, for your enthusiasm for speaking and emceeing now as well. And if you have still questions to Leocadie, please take the opportunity to ask in the community. Leo, you are a member there. You will see them in the next couple of days. I know that you would be very happy to answer them as well, right?
Yes.
So please don't be shy, everyone. Ask your questions, get your advice.
Yes, a lot.
As you said, a great way to learn becoming an amazing MC is to surround yourself and learn from amazing people. So take the opportunity to connect with Leo and ask your questions. And for everyone, and you know that we run these calls on a monthly basis. So next month we'll have another amazing topic, another amazing expert, just like Leocadie today. And if you really like to step up with your speaking on a more professional level this year, or if you want to make speaking more a marketing tool for your business to uplift your business, which is what a lot of speakers do, I just wanted to quickly announce that we are running again our 4-week professional speakers launch program very soon, which is like really 4 weeks looking into what is your message, what is your ideal audience that loves to hear you and is happy to pay you. Also then the question, what stages can you find and get yourself booked on, so that you really go out there and speak more. And then also the last week we will look into how do you really step up professionally, meaning how do you make money with your speaking, directly and indirectly. So if you feel, any one of you, if you feel that this is something that you really want to step into, I'm just going to put here again my email address. Just drop me a quick note and I'll send you more information on this 4-week journey if you feel this is something for you. Or if you want to have any additional advice and you want to have a quick chat with me about how to step up with your speaking, please reach out, or how you step up with your business as well. Reach out and we can always arrange a quick chat with each other to give you some additional hints. Okay? But first of all, again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us today.
Yeah.
And thank you
so much.
you, Leo, for having you.
Yeah, thank you.
So you all go out there, share your message, do your magic. The world needs to hear your voice, okay? The world needs your message, each and every one of you. Every time you step up on the stage, you touch someone's heart and mind, and you will connect with exactly the people that need to hear your message in that moment. So don't hold back. Step out there, step up with your speaking, okay? As we always say, speak up, scale up, and make a bigger difference out there. Okay?
Yes.
So you all have a fabulous month, and I look forward to hear from you in the meantime. And yeah, definitely see you in the community, and see you on the next call together. Okay? All the best,
well, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Leo. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Monique. It was a great call. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel.